Hello everyone, Ethys here and welcome back to our Astrologian Job Quest series. I was really pleased to see that people enjoying this, so we're going to see it through to the end. Now you'll probably notice that I'm actually at level 40 at the moment, so I went and did a bunch of fates and grinded out 10 levels rather than just the 5, so I can knock a couple of these over back to back just to make things a little bit easier on my end. And so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It feels a lot like White Mage, to be honest, but not in a bad way. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple of skills from these job quests that are going to make it sort of set apart a little bit. But yeah, it's fun. Astrologian Equinard. Oh, and look, there we go. And enhance the effect of the next card. All right, already there's distinction there. Next step in our training. Greetings, Ethys. The stars tell me you've been rigorously following Leviva's training regimen. Though I harbour doubts that go out and do things while I traipse about the realm constitutes a regimen. Ooh, bit of salt here. Still, she is all we have, so I suppose we have to make do, and as the stars would have it, she has just sent word that she is ready for us to attempt the opening of the second heaven's gate. You are aware of the 7 heavens, are you not? Just as there are 7 realms of the underworld, so too are there 7 realms of the firmament. Each of the first 6 represent one of the 6 basic elements: earth, ice, water, wind, lightning, and fire. The 7th and final heaven representing the element's astral polarity. Now this is really interesting. So I hadn't really read into this, but this is what I construed. You may remember if you've seen my recent metaphysics video on the Gerun oracles. This is what I sort of construed from that. Construed from that, I should say. So, it's interesting. The first 6 heavens are represented by the 6 constellations, which each revolve around the pole star. Astrologians of the Charlene school draw on the ether contained in the celestial bodies represented by the constellations by unlocking or opening the gate to heaven that constellation is correlated with. There's no actual gate, think of it more a portal to the soul. You're opening your mind, allowing for attunement with these distant bodies, much like one attunes with an etherite, but on a far grander scale. So this is a very similar thing to the monks opening their chakras. Now this may come as a revelation, but Heidelin is not flat like most believe. It is in fact a sphere so large that when we walk upon it, it only appears to be flat. Because it is a sphere, there are some locations better suited than others for observing certain constellations. That is what Leviva is doing right now, finding a location in which the Heaven's Gate will rise to a position directly in mid-heaven, where it will be easiest to attune with. And it seems that she has found one, near the final prayer in Eastern Thanalin. Alright, well I guess we're going to Eastern Thanalin. Let's do it. And while we're doing that, so Jean Equinard is kind of getting his wires crossed a little bit. So he did just tell us straight up that astrologians observe Heidelin to be round. And yet he keeps referring to the stars and the sky as the firmament, which is a term from flat earth theories. Basically the idea that you have a north pole, sort of a central, I guess, vertice for the Earth, and that you have like this dome that's suspended above it by this north point, which is where all the stars in the heavens are, and it sort of rotates. And anyway, that's what they refer to the firmament in old, metaphysical accounts of flat Earth theories. So the fact that they're using the term firmament is a little bit, I mean, it's not incorrect, because it is a pretty vague term, and it's become since, obviously, more or less synonymous with the sky and the heavens. But I don't know. It's probably not the term I would use if I was pushing a more Ptolemaic theory, which is what we're doing here, where you've got Heidelin at the center of the universe and everything revolving around it. That's the Ptolemaic theory of cosmology, which dominated everything forever until the Renaissance. And I'll actually be talking about that in an armoire video soon. And probably not the armoire video that you'd be expecting me to. Or maybe you would. What you got for us, Le Viveur? Here at last I see. Bandits have kept poor Quimperain busy harrying our camp since we arrived. I do believe the old man enjoys the excitement, however. I'm certain it beats wiping the arse of a noble brat whoring away his father's fortune while dreaming of becoming a real astrologian. Wow! He's right there. I'm very well capable of wiping my own arse, thanks very much. And Quimperain has never once complained of his duties. Of course he hasn't. Your father pays him to smile and nod, and I'm sure a comfortable position in the pillars beats chasing after cloud rats in the broom to flavour his soup. Gosh, she's very cynical, isn't she? Are we here to trade banter, my lady? Because I was led to believe we'd be unlocking a celestial gate. You'll find Quimperain has a good many uses, and I haven't the faintest doubt that he will most ably handle any ruffians who happen to come stumbling about looking for prey. Now, Ethys and Genequinard, we must be patient and wait for the constellation to reach its highest and brightest point, a point at which its flow of ether is the strongest in relation to Heidelin. Okay. Now, if we're waiting for its highest and brightest point is obviously going to be when it's closest to Heidelin. So the implication that we're getting here as well is that we have an ecliptical orbit rather than a perfectly circular orbit, which is interesting. There, Ethys, the balance. Focus on the constellation and attune its power. I will do my best with my silly little ear holes. The balance represents the heaven of fire, a realm made prosperous by the blessing of the traders, but at the same time, one whose equilibrium is maintained by the divine judgment of Azima the Warden. Azima's might will empower those who would take up their blades and meet divine punishment in the name of the Sun Goddess. And thus has the balance burned crimson in your heart, unlocking the gate to the second heaven. So, let us speed ourselves to the next location, Little Alamigo. Why so soon, you ask? Would you rather that I had you to commit yourself to another several moons of using malefics to put down hedge moles? I thought not. Here we are outside Little Alamigo for the next one. What do you got for us, Laviva? Be patient, Ethys. Allow the stars to make their ascent into mid-heaven. Once they have, survey the skies and let the power run through you. Raise your eyes to the stars and witness the violet glow of the spire. In the third heaven rises an iron tower of spinning gears and taut springs, constructed by the builder himself. It is assailed without cease by the jealous Ralga, but the destroyer's mighty levin bolts only serve to power the spire's clockwork soul. That sounds a lot like Alexander, doesn't it? It is through the blessing of both creation and destruction that strength is granted to he who sees his stars rise under this sign. You have now opened the gate, and its power is yours to command. Yeah, that sounds an awful lot like Alexander. I'm gonna have to sit on that one, I think. Using the Arcana to draw upon the powers of the stars they represent. This path we walk as astrologians is called the Royal Road. The Royal Road can be treacherous and fraught with peril, but it can lead men to greatness. but not Genequinard. The spire blazes in the Vulcan, unlocking the I assume that was going to say the third heaven's gate. Le Viva? Le Viva? Your realm is quite the paradox. On one hand, it is full of life, magic, and wonder, one of the richest lands on all Hydaelyn. On the other, it is literally brimming over with strife. Take little Alamigo, the wretched souls displaced from their homes by the flames of war, or Ishgard, mired in its own pointless conflict with an enemy so old it does not even remember why it fights. The foolish believe that it is their fate to suffer, and so they turn their gaze away from the stars when those self-same stars have the power to show people there are many paths. But that power can only be channeled by the few, those like me and you, and to a much lesser extent Genequinard. She just doesn't quit. And it is our duty to use that power to benefit those who remain lost or misguided. Remember that, and maybe one day you will truly become my grandfather's successor. That is exactly what I've been trying to tell the astrologians of my home nation. Why disregard something that has the power to grant succor to the wounded, the power to uplift the downtrodden, to strengthen the weak? Empowering those without power lessens the power of those who already have it. Heal the weak, so they might rise up and topple those who made them weak? Why would anyone in a position of power do that? Even our great nation of learning is corrupted by this manner of thought. We hoard our knowledge so that we might remain the brightest. Why do you think that it took so long for Professor Mace to visit you, Genequinard? Yes, I know what he told you. That was not the whole of it. Those of the ruling quarter did their damnedest to stand in the way of my grandfather, worried that his passion for his field would kindle widespread interest in Charlatan astrology. They only allowed him his recent trip, knowing he was now too old to do aught of the sort. Fortunately, the ruling quarter did not realize I would be accompanying my grandfather. Ethys, these past turns of the sun have been most fruitful. Yet while you have opened half of the heaven's gates, there is still much of the royal road ahead of you. Take what you have learned here in the southern deserts and transform that knowledge into strength. If you wish to know more of the royal road, I suggest that you discuss it with Genequinard back in Ishgard. If my grandfather is to be believed, his time transcribing tomes at the Studium Scriptorium should have left him more than capable of handling that task. We've got a lot to think about there, don't we? So we've learnt that, at least according to the Charlatans, Hydaelyn is most definitely round. The stars, or at least the stars that we're observing at the moment, have an ecliptic orbit rather than a perfectly circular orbit. And what else? They still insist on referring to it as a firmament for some reason. But I mean, that's just a localization thing. I'm not going to let that bother me. So you wish to know more of the Royal Road? Well, he doesn't know shit. I seem to recall it had something to do with reassessing the attribution of an arcanum before reading it, which would result in a slight alteration of predestination. Or perhaps it has something to do with the kings and queens on the minor arcana. It was over 2 decades ago. You were free to try it out yourself, I suppose. That's not very helpful, is it? But that's interesting, is that we're giving some sort of lore options for our new skill. I think that first explanation was interesting, that we're sort of, you know, we're drawing a card, we're sort of making like a fate reading in some way, and that the Royal Road has something to do with us sort of, I don't know, second guessing it. Anyway, I think that is it. Where are we going to put this? Royal Road. Oh, jeez, I don't know. We'll put it there for now. Alright, so let's see how that works. We draw a card. And then Royal Road will make our next draw. Okay, I see. It'll make our next draw more powerful. It'll make it last longer. Alright. Well, that's fine. And what did we draw? I can't remember what we drew. So I can't do a reading for you this time, guys. We'll do that next time. Alright, bye. I'll see you in a minute. Toodles. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.